life.
Duh. Hello, brilliant soul. Welcome to Rainbows and Real Life, the show dedicated to bringing positivity to the forefront, celebrating the power and promise of the human spirit, and celebrating each other in challenging times. We believe when we join together, we all live better lives, and we're exploring ways we can do that in today's ever-changing world. I'm Pamela Aubrey, and I'm here with my rock star co-host, Christopher Rush, the No Excuse.
What's up? Good evening, beautiful Pam.
Thank you. Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here with you, of course. And today we're talking with the founders of One Albany Incorporated about how they helped their community come together and find its power during the first wave of COVID. So welcome to the show, everyone.
Glad to have you guys here. Thank you for being here.
Such a pleasure to have you all. So I want to give each of you a little bit of an opportunity to tell your own version of the story, but John, if you'll just kind of like jumpstart us and tell us how One Albany got started to begin with.
So basically, One Albany got started pretty much during the start of the height of COVID. I was sitting at home on the couch and I had started working from home. So I just felt like it was so much more I could do. And I was just like, I knew people needed help, but I was like, what can we do? Because everybody was, afraid of COVID, scared to help people, scared to get involved in different, things. So I was like, what can we do? So God just put it on my heart to just send out a Facebook message. And I sent out a Facebook message and I said, if anybody's interested, and wanted, and not even starting an organization, just wanted to do something, want to do positive, especially for our community, because if you don't know anything about Albany, it's a small community, but it's been through a lot. Floods, tornadoes. We lost a lot of corporations, big time, businesses down there. So, I just, felt like my city was going backwards, and instead of being a part of the problem, I wanted to be a part of the solution. And we just, sent out, like I said, a Facebook. And as you can see, you got Shamika, Dom here. We got a great team. And we never looked back. And it organically formed into an organization. We had no idea of that was not what I was trying to do. It was just, I was just really just trying to be a blessing to my community. But as it continued to develop organically, it was like, okay, it's a need for these kind of organizations in our kind of communities. So once we started our community, I was at One Albany, and we were like, well, maybe one day we could do a One Houston or One Atlanta, and just continue to just build it around the country and just, help people link that really want to do something and, change the world.
Love that. Wow.
Amen.
Just love that. I literally got chills when you said, maybe someday we'll do a One Houston. And that to me is just so amazing, because I think that we have so much power as individuals, but also as communities, right? When we come together, there's so much we can do. So I really appreciate that. And, just the fact that it really was that one little seed of, I want to be able to do something, right? And that's what started it all. So tell us a little bit more, and I'm going to let the ladies jump in here as they like. Tell us a little bit about how things developed from there.
I'll kind of jump in. John is an amazing leader. As he stated, he put out a message on social media, and, we just kind of jumped to that when we actually saw, hey, we do want to do something in the community. And that very first call of action was him wanting to do a back to school event for the community, to just really be a blessing to the families and the students in our community who may not be able to afford supplies or school clothes or things of that nature. So just being able to kind of sit and, pick each other's brain from the people that are on the board to see how we all can contribute. we have 13 board members, and each of us have our own following, our own piece of the community, and we all bring something different to the table. And so partnerships are just so amazing. So we always look throughout the community to really just see who else has our same vision. You know, as we support educational goals and wellness goals, we have just different incentives that we've been able to establish. We have a scholarship program, you know, where we assist high school graduates and also students that are currently in college. You know, we have educational programs where we assist with college readiness, you know, FAFSA workshops, things like that. So, you know, we're kind of spread out, but we still keep those main pillars of our focus, which is really education and wellness, because we know how important that is to our community. So it just really grew. We have, you know, we kind of meet on a monthly basis, and hey, bring ideas to the table. What is it that we can do? Where do we see needs in the community? So as John's vice president, I stand and support him and all of the initiatives and, you know, just all of the great visions that he has, as well as all of our board members. So it's really been a blessing. We're celebrating our second birthday in June. Our anniversary is June of 20. So we are celebrating 2 years next month. And that's what we usually do on our anniversary, is our scholarship banquet. So we'll actually be blessing 4 high school graduates this year with $500 scholarship each. So that's what we do for our organization birthday, is we celebrate students by gifting them with a scholarship.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so, you know, I want, for the listeners, maybe there's people out there who have thought about doing something like this, or, you know, have wondered, how would I even start this? Or how would I even begin to put something together, or even work with, you know, organizations that are doing things like this? So, you know, tell us a little bit about how you started this. You know, what were some of the things that you had to do initially to even start to get it off the ground?
Shamika, you want to speak to that?
Sure. So, as John mentioned, he did that call to action for us. And at that point, there was no thought of a nonprofit organization. It was simply, let's do what we can for our community. And at which point, we all got together and we started really reaching out to our resources and looking into our own skill sets to see what we could bring to the table. And we just was delegating tasks to each other. That's like, okay, well, I can contact this venue and I'll see if they'll donate their space. I'll reach out to this DJ and see if they can donate. So that's what we did. And we actually had a lot of people stand up and do these donations of in-kind services and different other things that we needed to just pull it off. And it worked out like nothing we could have dreamed. And when we finished it, as soon as we finished, we were immediately contacted about, hey, we have this idea for Thanksgiving from someone else that wanted to partner with us. And we was like, oh, we got something else we can do. We're not going to stop yet. And we jumped right into doing a Thanksgiving community event as well with some other organizations that we partnered with. So at that point, we still wasn't a nonprofit organization. And so we was like, this may be a thing. Maybe we should just get together and make it a thing.
Right. Yeah. And I love that, because it just goes to show you can do a lot without, you know, being an organization, right? And just coming together and making a decision. Hey, we're going to do some things. This is important to us. We want to make a difference. And here's how we can do that. And then tapping into your resources. That's amazing. So did you collaborate with other organizations in the beginning, or?
In the beginning, we didn't partner with any organizations for our back to school event, but we did have sponsors. Big shout out to John Trail Foundation. Big shout out to Ameri Group. Did I say that right, Don? AmeriCorp or Ameri Group?
Ameri Group.
Big shout out to OKOF, Our Kids, Our Future. But yeah, just trying to link up with local organizations that's really, you know, about the business of giving back.
Yeah, that first year was a lot of, you know, in pocket, what we did out of our own pocket, you know, and surprisingly, we were like, hey, you know, we did it. And, you know, just being able to, as John said, build those relationships with those sponsors and we're still accepting sponsorships. So if anyone wants to sponsor and assist with, getting some school supplies for this year's event, let us know. But we keep those sponsors and volunteers. We couldn't do this without the volunteers that we have as well. So from family members, again, and then just reaching out into the community. So partnership, again, is very important when we're looking at those other like-minded organizations who, again, may just need a extra hand, because most of the time it's just about, again, the awareness of it. There's tons of organizations that are doing things, but not being visible sometimes, limits their crowd and who comes and who supports. So anytime that we can, partner and to increase the awareness of different events and incentives we have going on, we're always looking to partner. We partner with the local Doherty County school system, which is really amazing. That's how we're able to get our scholarship program out to those seniors. They publicize a lot of things for us. So we definitely rely heavily on partnerships and sponsorships.
That's so awesome what you guys are doing. I mean, it's a grassroots thing that we got to be doing here in our own community. So I love that you guys have been giving so much to people. I'm interested to hear from each of you. What have you received? What have you learned from this process for yourself and perhaps for your families? What kind of lessons have you guys learned personally?
Well, one thing I definitely learned is that we're more powerful together. Another thing that I've learned is that everything that became big started small. Yeah. And, that's how I look at One Albany is, I saw as we continued to organically build it, and I saw how God was just putting the pieces together, I just really knew that we were on our way to greatness. And one thing that we always, stay true to is the mission. And, Shamika always constantly reminds us of, even with partnerships, is making sure that they are in alignment with our mission. Because honestly, we're strictly about giving. All we want to do is give and, make our communities better. So when we get approached about, well, let's do a party or a dance and charge people and we we don't want to hear any of that. We want to come in and be a blessing. So I just think that your heart has to be in it, and you have to also build it with people who got like hearts, and we all have like hearts. So that's why I credit that to our success for sure, and God for sure.
That's awesome. Thank you, John.
I agree with that. And I think what I've learned in this experience is that representation matters. For a lot of these students that are first generation college students, they don't even know, those steps. With my background in higher education, that's what I kind of bring to the table. And I know that, if a student or if someone can see someone in action doing what they have always wanted to do, we've done a career panel where we have brought in people of different calibers, doctors, lawyers, teachers, car mechanics, cosmetologists, literally a variety of people, so that, again, these students can see I can actually do that. And these people are from Albany, not just grabbing someone off a Google search, but literally tapping into our connections and having a doctor present that graduated from one of the schools that we're representing. So, that does it for me. I have small children. I have a daughter who's 7. So for her to be able to see these partnerships, she was going through my phone and saw some pictures of John. She's like, "Oh, hey, John." I said, "Don't stop going through my pictures." But it's representation. Awesome. She sees that, and she sees those relationships that I have with my other board members. And, when we get together, because we're all spread out, though we are from Albany. I'm in Atlanta. John's in Atlanta. Shamika's in Florida. So the 1 or 2 times per year, we get to come together at these events. So it's very, warming for us to have virtual board meetings once a month and then be able to come together once or twice a year and celebrate that. So I do it for my children, and I do it because, again, I know that representation really matters in the community that we're from. And so if we can continue to be a positive, outlook for someone, they say if you can just reach that one person, that one student, that one kid, that one parent, that one mother, one father, I think that, that's So that's what does it for me. That's what I've learned in these past 2 years, working with these awesome people. So
Brilliant.
That's
Thank you.
So for me, one, we were strangers in most cases. So I want to make that clear. Not all of us
I
knew
was thinking
each
about
other.
you guys were all strangers just came together. I love that. That's so
Yeah.
awesome.
Not all of us knew each other. I knew maybe 3 or 4 of the 13 coming in. And so we are perfect strangers, really. And I remember one of the times, it was this past summer when we had our anniversary dinner, and Dom and I were sitting beside each other. And we were just talking. I mean, we had already connected, of course, over the time, but we were just talking. John realized that we had just met each other in real life for the first time. We had never met each other. And he was like, oh my God, you guys been acting like you've been knowing each other for years.
That's
And
awesome.
we hadn't. And so a funny story to that is when we did the back to school event, Dom and I couldn't be there. We were still contributing from afar. We couldn't physically be at the event. So we had a live stream that I operated because of my expertise. We used StreamYard that we did to kind of let the community know about us. Dom couldn't come either. She came in as a guest and we were still working. So people still knew we were a part of the process. We were still very active, although we weren't there in person. And so for me, a lot of it is keeping your mind open about the opportunities, not having a closed mind of what exactly it's supposed to look like. And so it does make me think back to this past year's Thanksgiving community dinner that we did. And we partnered with multiple organizations. All of us have our strengths. And so we played to our strengths. One of the organizations raised almost all of the money that we needed within hours. And it just blew our mind because most people are like, we have to have this big gala or whatever type of huge, fundraising event. And they literally did it in hours. And we were like, okay, great. We don't have to worry about that part anymore.
Yeah.
Let's concentrate on putting everything together. And I remember coming to town, getting everything set up, and my dad was with me. And I told him that we were looking to feed 1,200 people. He was like, where are you going to get all these people from? Like, he was asking me all of these questions, and I'm trying to answer them, but I don't think it's making sense to him, because his mind was set on what he thought it looked like.
Right.
And so as we're going on over the next few days, I'm like, well, the news station is coming. I got to go run over there for the interview, and I have to do this. And he's like, wait a minute, what? And so he's putting together everything I'm saying between the money raised, the attention we're getting, what we've had in the past. And he was like, oh my gosh, like this is a thing. Like it is going to happen. You guys got it. Like, and so I think it's about having that open mind, because even still, there were even our news station and a lot of people were very surprised about what we were saying, the numbers that we said that we were looking to do for our goal. And we did execute on those numbers. We actually surpassed them. And so it's all about keeping your mind open and just saying, this is what I want to do. How can we make it happen?
Love it. Love it. Thank you, guys. That was brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you kind of led into a question that I already had, and I really kind of want to get each of your thoughts on this, which is, what do you think the key was to your success?
I think the key was that we invested in ourselves first, right? We jumped out there on our own and without the help, and of course without the resources, and still made it happen. And that's, I think when people saw that, they were like, okay, these people for real about what they're trying to do. Let me see how I can help or how I can be a part of it. But I really think once we showed and everyone that, look, we really about the business of giving back, then it really kind of like organically just took off for us.
I definitely agree with that. And I also, just really just being a blessing from, from God. These are blessings. These are things that we really don't have answers to. When it came to the Thanksgiving event that Shamika was talking about, and we were increasing our numbers, the first year it was like, 500 or whatever it was. And when we were like, hey, 1,200, I make a call, as John was doing shout outs earlier, shout out to Mount Zion Baptist Church. That's the church that I was raised in, baptized. That pastor married me 5 years ago. And I made a phone call and said, hey, we're trying to do something for 1,200 people. He was like, the kitchen is yours. No money, no contracts. Just, hey, I know you, you know me. It's Albany. I married you. Here's something for you all. So a lot of doors were opened for us just because of who we are. As Shamika said, we didn't know each other. I knew John just in passing. We played basketball at the same high school. We both played college basketball. So we have a lot of athletic friends. But other than that, again, we didn't know each other. But so many doors were opened for us because of who we are, who we know, and the people that we are. A lot of times your reputation precedes you. So thank goodness that was in a positive way. So I would just say that a lot of our success is just attributed to who we are as a people, and that people actually know that we're doing good for the community. They don't think, there's going to be some misappropriation of funds. I think we have a very trustworthy following. And as long as we stick to our goals and our motto for what it is that we believe in and actually have that true heart, then I think that we'll continue to be successful in our community. We do have a lot of support from our community, and that's very important to us. So.
Whew. I think one of the main things that we thought about coming into it was what this community had did for each one of us. We all felt so thankful for what the community had done for us. And we was like, we wanted to pass that on. We wanted to pay that forward, essentially. So I think that was the charge that was leading our hearts coming into it. And I think a lot of people that we reached out to felt the same way. When they understood what we were trying to do, they felt the same way. So I do attribute a lot of that initial event on that concept. And from then, we have been just trying to stay focused on what we're trying to do. We want to help our community. It's not just spread out. And I think sometimes that's tough. So I will say that sometimes it's tough. You want to help everybody. You want to be a part of everything. And you can't spread yourself that thin. And so we had to stop at different points and just pause and not get distracted by some of the other things that others were doing, even back to school. Of course, there's multiple back to school events that are happening, but they're not like our back to school event. And we can't chase what someone else is doing for their back to school event. So I think we actually tried to stick with our expertise. And there are other things that, like I said, we've been using our talents that we bring to the table. Like Dom hasn't said her career, but she works in financial aid. So she's helpful for us with some of these FAFSA workshops and different things we do for the career readiness program that we have. So there's a lot of that skill set that we're all individually bringing from our careers and personal experience, and we're executing that inside of the organization as well.
Can you talk to us about some of those challenges? I mean, what has it been? Have you had anybody say, don't step on our feet, we're the people here doing the back to school projects, or have you had people be more collaborative and understanding?
It's been up and down. Our first challenge when we first started, we had another organization that was called themselves One Albany. But they hadn't went through the proper protocols to be official. So, once we became official and we started, really putting out One Albany, then, we had a little, I'd say negative feedback that we were copying them, but they weren't really doing what we were doing. So it was like, nah, this us, and you can get with us, or we gonna, continue to keep it pushing. But yeah, and then sometimes, coming from a small city, that's one, and this is another reason why I'm so glad we formed One Albany, because in my city, we're not unified. We and even from we're a small city, but now we have 3 high schools, and pretty much people ride their high school. Whatever high school they're from, that's pretty much the side of town that they're claiming. But my whole thing is, how can we claim a side when we just so small? And I just really wanted to show people like what can happen when people come together and really, be steadfast about a mission. And I felt like my people needed to see that from us, and they needed an example of it, and then they could really see like what we can do. Because now you got people from Albany asking, can they be a part of it, or can they volunteer? And also we've had some people also start their own nonprofit organizations.
Wow.
So everything that the plan in my head for what I wanted to happen is really like happening. It wasn't about us being this world renowned One Albany, which of course that's great, but I just wanted to show people, especially in small communities, that you really can come in and make a difference. You don't have to wait to move to Atlanta or move to Houston or New York. You can do something in your small community and make a big difference. So I feel like if more people tap in like that, the world will automatically become a better place.
Love that.
All about that. Yes.
It's so good. And I think, it's so important because there are a lot of small communities in this country that need resources, right? I mean, that are struggling, that have struggled the last couple of years, that don't necessarily have the best economies anyway. And then when there's a crisis, it's really hard on some families. So I love that you just took the initiative, number one, and then said, whatever the obstacles are, we're going to figure this out. Because you didn't obviously know from the beginning how things were going to pan out, right?
Exactly.
But you knew that you had some resources and you had some connections, and you just took those first few steps. And I think if we look at it from that perspective, then it's kind of like, well, why couldn't I do it, right? Why couldn't we make this change in our community? Why couldn't we help, these kids that need backpacks, right? Something that simple. So it's just so powerful what you've done. And I think it's really a testimony to other people. With that though, I want people to kind of get a sense for how they can support your organization, but maybe, if they're interested in doing something similar in their own community, how they might be able to kind of tap into what you're doing to do that.
Shamika, Dom, y'all want to take that?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, as John, aforementioned a few moments ago, we have been the example in our community. Shamika mentioned that my 9 to 5, I'm an associate director within university's Office of Financial Aid. But other than that, I also do consultant work to establish nonprofits. So I have had some people just on our board and through the city of Albany contact me to say exactly like you did, Pamela, like, hey, how can we establish? How can we, we've been a group for a while. How can we incorporate? How can we actually be a nonprofit organization? So, just within the last 2 years of us being established, after all of our paperwork was established, I've incorporated about 6 organizations in Albany and 1 Atlanta organization. But I think that, we continue to be those positive role models within the community. And I think that people see that. And though there are times where there may be some type of negativity, I think that the goodness outweighs that. And we're able to, definitely answer those questions. So if anyone, is looking for any type of information or just wants to know, hey, what steps, do we take in order to establish, feel free to, reach out to me or reach out to anyone in One Albany, and we'll be happy to answer some of those questions. But I'm definitely, available for those types of conversations, because sometimes that's all it is how do I get there? Like, I want to get there, but what are those steps? What are the things that, have to take place in order to be official? Because that's what it's about, making yourself official so that you can have that support from your community and, be legitimate in your state and be recognized on paper. So, we're here for those types of consultations. We're here to partner with organizations. So, we do have our social media platforms. We are very visible on Facebook and very visible on Instagram. We're in the process of getting our website up and ready so we can share that out there. So we are ready for those conversations, and we are ready to, take those steps, as John said, and start initiating in other places. But I think it first starts with the foundation. And I think that we're very blessed that we have that foundation and the people of our board. Shamika doesn't give herself enough pats on the back, but as her being, an event coordinator and being registered in all type of cities and states, she keeps us on point when it comes to our events. She's like,
That's
hey,
a pain in the butt.
here's your
I do
platform.
that for my charity.
Here's your platform. This is what needs to be done. And John's background is him being executive director of Boys and Girls Club. Like, wow, he's there with that community, knowing the needs of those children and students. So, and I could list all of the other professions of our board members. We have principals on board. We have a doctor on board who has his own STEM program and makes apparel. The list goes on and on. Wow. So, we're here and we're ready for those conversations. And hopefully what we're doing, again, will rub off on others to formulate anything they can do within the community to make it better.
Well, I can tell you, I mean, it's rubbed off on me. I'm so enthusiastic about what you guys are doing. It's super exciting because I feel like this is something this country needs so much right now. And if it could become contagious, what an amazing thing that would be.
Yes.
That'd be awesome.
And I think we're all ready. I think we're all ready to kind of see the change. We're ready to see the good. We're ready to see people coming together and making amazing things happen. And we can definitely do it. And it doesn't have to be hard, right? And just the fact that there's one other example that we can look to and say, these people did it. If they did it, why can't I do it? Well, then, absolutely. I mean, that's all we really need, right?
Yes. And I'll tell you, Pamela, something else that we do that we haven't mentioned that maybe a little bit of a secret sauce for people is that we really don't discriminate in our programming. I know a lot of times people say, well, we need you to demonstrate this need. We don't have a need that you must demonstrate. We want everyone to be included in this because a lot of times if you demonstrate that need, you're ashamed to let everyone know that you have that need. And so we want to eliminate that issue for everybody, eliminate that barrier so that's why that Thanksgiving dinner is a community dinner because everyone is invited, so you don't have to feel bad if you didn't have a meal last night. Fine, you can probably be sitting next to a doctor that is living life great, but it's still, all of our events are that way so that it's welcoming everybody. So there's none of that issue that we have to kind of go back and forth with people or you have to show proof of this. Everybody come, everyone is welcome.
That's so inspiring. Thank you for being you guys. I'm inspired as well. I'm like, I got ideas in my head, like, okay, we could do this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And Christopher actually has been volunteering with another nonprofit for a little while, and they're doing kind of some similar things. So in the back of my mind, I was even thinking, oh my gosh, this just is like
connect us.
Oh, definitely. Yes. I'm gonna. We'll talk.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
But I want you guys to share any other final thoughts that you have. I know that we're getting a little close on time. So if there's anything else that you want to share with the audience and you want people to be aware of, please do that.
I just want to share with people that you can do anything you put your mind to. And, the first step is the first step. You just got to step. And, I think about now, the work we've done over 2 years, but, I'm thinking about it. If we didn't make this step, 2,020, maybe 2,500 people don't get Thanksgiving meals. Maybe another 700 kids don't have everything they need for school during COVID. So, when you think about that, and that's really what it's about for me. When we do those events, I mean, like, especially like the back to school giveaway, I'm out there and I like to get a bag to the parents so I can talk to the kids. It ain't just handing the bag off. It's about us just inspiring our people because they don't have any motivation down there. We don't have skyscrapers. We don't have a Mercedes-Benz stadium. We don't have a Braves stadium. Like, we probably the biggest figures of motivation in their life that they can touch, literally. So you know, I'm just thankful that, that we all decided that this is something that we really wanted to do and we stayed true to it. Because it's all about building legacy. And like Dom said, I have a 12-year-old daughter. Shamika has kids. And that's something that we want to pass down to our kids. And hopefully they'll continue to keep the legacy going, because I feel like if we can continue to evolve the world like that, it can't help but naturally become a better place.
I agree.
Yeah.
So well spoken. Hard to follow him. But I would say this the same thing. I think that, again, with all of the different incentives that we have, if anyone is looking to be a part of an organization or give to an organization that has a very moral platform, please reach out. We would love to, again, partner with you. We would love to have your sponsorship for our events. Just being able to build the relationships with these the scholars, the recipients of those scholarships. One of the young ladies, and we have a mentor program, so we keep up with the students throughout the year. And I usually share it in our group chat, but I have one student that I'm her mentor, and every time she gets her, her midterm grade, she screenshots it and she's like, hey, I just want you to know what I'm doing in school, and I made the dean's list. And so again, letting that student know we're not just an organization. I'm Dominique. He's John. This is Shamika. We're first name basis. They're like, oh, Miss Jordan. I'm like, please don't call me that. That's my husband's mother's name. Like, that's not me. So I think, again, for us, it's just building that rapport. And again, letting the students or the families having relationships with, just again, some single moms in the area to say, hey, we're here. We have resources, or whatever the case may be. So, again, if you are out there and you are looking for an organization to support, please contact us. We have ways that you can donate, ways that you can sponsor, ways that you can, contribute to what we're trying to do in the community, because we can't do this without the support of our community. So please reach out to us, and we will definitely be able to accommodate whatever funds you need to send. Some people don't do this, they don't do that. They want to just give gifts. We're here for our community. So again, if you're looking for an organization to support, One Albany Incorporated is accepting your support.
Love it. Love it.
Well, I would say, one, I know earlier we talked about like a secret sauce of sorts. And one thing I love about us, we mention it, but just to kind of put it in the forefront, is that we did the work first before we did everything else. So we proved ourselves to each other. A lot of times organizations are scrambling, trying to find good board members for their organizations that support and believe in it and will do the work. Well, we were fortunate because we had a chance to see that from the beginning. So that's one of the great things that I love about One Albany. And one of the things for me growing up was thinking about holidays like Thanksgiving, like thinking that I shouldn't just be home celebrating, like I should be finding ways to give back. And One Albany has allowed me to accomplish that. I was thinking in my mind, like one day when I have my family, I'm going to be able to go down and say, yeah, I know the holiday is coming, but we're still going to serve people. And I haven't brought my son yet because he's 5. But that's something I'm looking to do as soon as I feel like he's old enough to understand what we're doing and what his role would be. But my mother was side by side with me this year. And so that felt great. And when I couldn't come to one of our other events, she came in my place to serve. And so for me, that warms my heart like nobody's business. And so I just love to see that part of it with my family and loved ones involved, and to be able to see the faces of the people that we're working with and we're helping. There's so many stories that come to us that are motivation to keep us going. So I do want to give our information because I know we've kind of talked about reach out to us. Well, yes. Everywhere we are One Albany Strong. So we're One Albany Strong. Yes, on Facebook, on Instagram, LinkedIn. So that's where you'll find us everywhere.
Perfect. Well, and just a couple of things that came to me when all of you were speaking. Number one is that I love that you're actually not all in the same place right now. You did all of this remotely even, which, I mean, sometimes I think people feel like, well, I could do something, but I'm not even there, No. You can do it. You can still do it. It's mind over matter, right? And then the fact that you have pulled together around the holidays. One of my favorite things to do every year is like a secret Santa, or like, a Christmas, for kids, or whatever the case may be. And so I love that you're doing something like that, because that's typically a time that can be very challenging for families if they're struggling. And so just to be able to offer people a little something special is really, really amazing. So I really applaud you for that. Any closing thoughts that anyone would like to share?
I just want to say thank you to you all for having us.
Yes.
Most welcome.
It's very appreciated, because at the end of the day, it's not about One Albany about for us. It's about the mission. And anytime we can get out, it's not about us being on podcast to show who's this, we doing that. It's just about, like, we want to motivate people to really get out here and get on the ground and start doing some things. I know it's plenty of people that somebody sitting in the barbershop right now thinking about their hometown and something they could do. Well, we're that example. And, we just want to let people know that, you can really do it. You can make it happen if you want to.
Love that.
Thank you guys for all that you do and all that you are. You've inspired me. So I've got some things going on in my mind. So thank you guys. I'll be reaching out to you for some other stuff, but thank you guys for being who you are, because the world needs it more than ever now. So many people are sitting there looking at government and everything. What are they doing? What are they doing? What are they? Together, we are the United States of America, and we're not the divided states, and we need to start acting like that. So thank you guys for being the brilliant example. I'm going to carry that torch as well. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us, guys. Thank you.
Thank you again. And to all of you out there listening, if you've been sitting on the couch and maybe you're thinking about what can I do, get in contact with one of these beautiful souls from One Albany and start to figure out your plan, because if there's a little seed in your soul, there's a reason why. And I know they would love to support you. You can reach out to Christopher and I as well. We would love to help you, and we'll direct you as best we can with resources that we have also. But let's do this. I mean, we all have the power. We all have the ability to do things to help each other out and strengthen our communities. And I have faith in that we can and we will. So thank you all for being with us tonight. And again, One Albany, thank you for being here with us. It's such a pleasure. And I look forward to doing this again with you.
Look forward to it.
Thank you.
So,
good night, everyone.
thank you.
Good night.